in the region and beyond. Thank you.
First word since he declared.
Welcome back. You're watching Breaking Ground at 1 p.m. I'm Vedika Sood, and these are the headlines that we are tracking at this hour. Israel's offensive against Hezbollah strikes Hezbollah command centers and weapon facility. Huge blasts heard in Beirut. Iran continues to pound Israel. More than 30 missiles fired. Sirens blare across Tel Aviv. Iran intensifies attacks on Middle East. Missiles fired in Jordan, Bahrain, Riyadh. The U.S. Embassy in Riyadh attacked. Trump warns of retaliation. U.S. issues depart now alert. Here's Trump's warning. He says big war can be fought forever. Says U.S. has virtually unlimited supply of weapons. Asserts U.S. is stocked and ready to win big. Inside the plan to kill Ali Khamenei, reports say a human source provided exact time and location for strike to kill Ayatollah. Israeli intelligence allegedly hacked Tehran traffic cameras for years. Shutdown of Hormuz Strait raises fears of soaring oil prices. Iran warns will attack ships trying to pass the strait. Some flights from the Middle East have resumed. Relief for stranded Indians. Air India and Indigo partially resume operations in the area. News coming in. The U.S. Embassy in Israel has told its citizens it is unable to assist in evacuations. This is the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, and I'm going to quote them here. The U.S. Embassy is not in a position at this time to evacuate or directly assist Americans in departing Israel. The following is provided for your information as you make your own security plans. The Israeli Ministry of Tourism has begun operating shuttles to the Taba border crossing as of the 2nd of March. To be added to the passenger list for a shuttle, you must register via the ministry's evacuation form. The U.S. Embassy cannot make any recommendation for or against the Ministry of Tourism's shuttle. If you choose to avail yourself of this option to depart, the U.S. government cannot guarantee your safety. The information is provided as a courtesy to those wishing to leave Israel. Well, so as you can see, this is an advisory now, a statement coming out from the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. What it essentially means is that the U.S. Embassy is saying that it is in no position to help in the evacuations of Americans in Israel. They've left it to them now to find their way out. There is a suggestion there to use a shuttle that is being provided by the Israeli government. But once again out there, the claim, or rather the disclaimer, is that we cannot advise for it or against it. The bottom line here for now is that American nationals in Israel are on their own. It also leads to the larger question here of whether the US really thought through this conflict. Was there really a roadmap for them to follow? And this perhaps a small indication leading to those bigger questions. But for now, this is the latest we have for you. US tells Americans in the country to evacuate, but to find a way to evacuate themselves. They are in no position to help them at this time. That's the latest that we have for you. You also had Donald Trump speaking out some hours back, You've heard loud blasts being heard above the US Embassy in Saudi Arabia's Riyadh also on Monday night. There are consulates and missions also closing in other parts of the Middle East as a precaution after Iran has stated and warned that US nationals, US personnel, US installations, US establishments will be on their radar. They've also gone on to say you can hide, but we will find you. So after those warnings comes this statement from the US Embassy in Jerusalem, which of course is worrying for US nationals, isn't it? Aditya Rajkol joining us live from Tel Aviv. Aditya, essentially what this statement, this advisory, whatever you may call it, indicates is that US nationals in Israel have been left to themselves to fend for themselves at this point because the US embassy is in no position to help them evacuate.
Well, that's right. It's a huge statement. Usually, US embassies or US Department of State does not issue such statements, but it is the helplessness that has perhaps resulted in this. The US embassy in Jerusalem has, informed its citizens in America, and they have a branch office in Tel Aviv as well, that they are unable to help them at this particular stage. They're saying that the Department of Tourism of the Israeli government will be running shuttle buses to the Taba border crossing, that is with Egypt, and possibly there could be evacuation from that side. But as of now, there's a status quo. They have to fend for themselves. They need to take shelter and be safe by their own means by taking precautions. So US is unable to assist their own citizens in Israel at this particular stage. They cannot help them. They cannot even give any kind of consular services at this particular stage. So it is a kind of a status quo for the American citizens as well. Many of them are in Israel right now because they usually come. There are a lot of American Jews also who keep traveling here to Israel. So it is a huge statement coming in from the US Embassy in Jerusalem that they are unable to help their citizens, cannot assist at this particular stage. Perhaps there will be buses running to the Taba border crossing with Egypt. That's at the border crossing between Israel and Egypt.
Yes.
From there, perhaps they can take flights from Cairo.
The bigger question then, Aditya, also is if Donald Trump, the US, thought through this conflict before it started. Was there really a roadmap is the big question.
Well, there is a roadmap always whenever there is such kind of a conflict brewing, and perhaps US and Israel in this particular conflict had been planning for a very long time. In fact, for a few weeks now, or if not months, they had perhaps kept in mind that there would be citizens that would be stranded in many areas, but often, there are situations that are, beyond control. For instance, the attacks that have happened in several countries apart from Israel, from UAE to Saudi Arabia to Qatar, and in fact Bahrain and Kuwait also, apart from Oman, who have faced frequent missile attacks from Iranian side. And certainly it is a big development as US now says it's unable to help its citizens in Israel.
Okay, do stay with me, Aditya. We have some breaking news coming in. All right, we're going to now tell you how this operation unfolded when it comes to the US President Donald Trump. What we have learned is that President Donald Trump gave the go-ahead for a massive US military strike against Iran late last week, an operation that unfolded in dramatic fashion. At 12:25 Eastern, the president left the White House for Texas, telling reporters he was not happy with nuclear talks. Just over 3 hours later, aboard Air Force One, he issued the order for what the Pentagon called Operation Epic Fury. By 1:15 in the morning, the strikes were underway. Explosions rocked Tehran as US forces hit targets across land, air, sea, and cyber. Within minutes, Iran's supreme leader and dozens of senior military officials were reportedly killed. So we're going to bring you that entire timeline in a moment from now, but here, let's listen in to some of the reactions.
Celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands.
So what we're learning now, Aditya, at this point is that this operation was given the go-ahead, if I'm not mistaken, on the 27th of February at about 12:25 p.m. We're learning that President Trump expressed displeasure with Iran, and at 3:38, while he was aboard Air Force One, he gave the nod to the strikes.
Well, that's right. That's what we are picking up from top sources in the US administration, that it was on Feb 27th that Trump had expressed displeasure with the way talks have been held in Geneva. Iran was not complying with the key asks of the US and the Israeli delegations that clearly indicated that Iran needs to completely come on the table when it comes to the nuclear, the sites enrichment, that it will not continue for the foreseeable future and surrender that completely to the United States. That clearly did not happen. And it was then on Feb 27 that Trump, on board the Air Force One, gave the orders to go ahead with the strike. There was a communication between the CIA and Mossad that was established. Both Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke to the Mossad chief, and of course, US President Donald Trump also spoke to the CIA chief and top security establishment, including the Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, and then the orders were given. Initially, the orders were to conduct the strike on 28th evening or 28th night, but there was intelligence that was gathered both by CIA and Mossad that indicated that Khamenei will be attending a key meeting on the 20th early morning. Remember, they had been tracking through human intelligence and technical intelligence. Traffic cameras were completely monitored for years together, but it was a key human intelligence down on ground that clearly indicated and pinpointed the location of Khamenei. And finally, on Feb 28th, early morning, we saw the first strikes happen. I myself was heading towards the Ben Gurion airport in Tel Aviv. The moment I landed there, the first strikes had begun and sirens started buzzing all across Israel. So these are the first initial details that we are picking up behind the scenes, what exactly happened when the first strikes happened against Iran by US and Israel on Feb 28.
For more details on this, Aditya, I'm joined by Vishal in the newsroom. Vishal, just take us through that timeline. These are important days, dates and timings that we have accessed.
Vedika, so we have accessed an Associated Press report that seems to shed light on how the whole operation unfolded and how Trump decided to give a go-ahead to that big operation called Operation Fury. We'll have the details on our screen. The first thing that we have to talk about is how at the time of 12:25 p.m. EST, US President expressed displeasure with Iran. So this is when the talks had just been finished and he had been receiving some inputs from those talks that Iran was trying to arm twist the US side into accepting the deal. And that is when at about 3:30 p.m. EST, aboard the Air Force One aircraft, Trump launched the op. So within a space of 3 hours, this decision was taken that the operation will be going ahead. The planning was already in place. We had been reporting throughout that at least 50,000 troops could have been positioned. And the GOP lawmakers that were accompanying Trump on board the plane, on board his own plane, they seemed to largely agree with whatever Trump was planning to do. There was some, tension on the plane, but most of the GOP lawmakers, being Trump's own party, they agreed with what Trump was trying to do. Moving on, at 4:30 p.m. EST is when Trump landed in Texas, and this is not when Trump divulged to the world that the plan was a go-ahead. Trump lands in Texas and does not really divulge the plan to the world. So this is the time when the world does not know what is going to happen in the next few hours. He has briefed his team that whatever the plan is, but the world doesn't know. Lastly, at 1:15 a.m. EST, the military strikes begin across Tehran, bombs across Tehran, and some reported strikes at the top installations in Tehran. So this is when the world got to know that the big war had begun. And about 4:37 p.m. EST, Trump announces that Khamenei, the longtime leader of Iran, had been killed in the joint operation with Israel. This is how it all unfolded, and it took just about 3 hours for Trump to decide that war will happen in the Middle East.
Riyadh, Vishal, thanks for breaking it down for us here on Breaking Ground. Important details there. Access, of course, that is an AP report that we are quoting from. Moving on now, let's just bring you the updates on the big story. US President Donald Trump has claimed that American munition stockpiles are at a record high and that US has a virtually unlimited supply of weapons. He claimed that US can fight a war forever with the current supplies and is ready to win it big. US has shut down its embassy in Kuwait and that the embassy will be closed till further notice has also been stated. US has also announced that it has cancelled all regular and emergency consular appointments there. Canada has also shut its embassy in Riyadh. The mission said it is closing today due to current security situation and said that all in-person appointments are cancelled through Friday, the 6th of March, this after the attack on the US embassy in Riyadh. The UAE has slammed a report on its stockpiles. In a statement issued by its foreign ministry, it said that it has a robust stockpile and will ensure sustained interception of missiles from Iran. The UAE was reacting to a report that had questioned UAE and Qatar's stockpiles. A report from the Office of Intelligence and Analysis at the Department of Homeland Security said Iran and its proxies probably pose a threat of targeted attacks on the United States of America. The report added that in the short term, the main concern was that Iran-aligned hacktivists would conduct low-level cyber attacks against US networks. I also want to take you through some of the most defining images that we're going to bring to you while the Israel-Iran war is intensifying by the minute. Missiles fly thick and fast with both sides warning each other. There's death and destruction on both sides. Buildings have turned into rubbles. We bring you these defining images. Israel has launched fresh airstrikes against Iran. Israel launched a barrage of missiles across its enemy country, Iran. Explosions rang out across southern Beirut with plumes of smoke seen rising over the Babda area. Israel is said to have targeted a Hezbollah weapons storage facility. A commercial airplane was seen taking off amid smoke and explosions after Israeli airstrikes hit the Lebanese capital. The US military has released video of a strike on an Iranian ship. The military said that it had taken out 11 Iranian warships. IDF has launched a video of attack on Iran. Air Force aircraft attacked and neutralized a squad of soldiers from Iran. Israeli Defense Forces strike over 70 Hezbollah terror group weapon storage facilities, launch positions and launchers as the Middle East war widens. Hezbollah-affiliated Al-Manar TV was hit by Israeli airstrikes in Beirut's southern suburbs. The Israel Defense Forces issued an evacuation warning for the area of Beirut containing the channel's headquarters shortly before the strike. Iran allied fighters have released footage of targeting the US-run Victoria base near Baghdad International Airport. 2 drones targeted the US Victoria base near that airport. Iran has launched new super heavy missiles. Iran is targeting US bases in the region as no end to this war is in sight. Situation in the Middle East escalates as Iraqi resistance group carried out drone attacks on hotels housing US troops in Erbil. Iran has launched a fresh wave of ballistic missiles and drones across Israel. Sirens rang out across Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and southern Israel. To understand what's happening inside Israel at this moment, I'm joined by Ariel Kahana, diplomatic commentator with Israel Hayom Daily. Ariel, thank you once again for joining me here on Breaking Ground. Firstly, just an update from what's been happening in Israel, what's happening in Jerusalem as of now.
Hello, Vedika. It's good to be with you again. So actually today in Israel, it's a holiday, actually a festival we celebrate, we commemorate an ancient effort by the Persians, you wouldn't believe, to destroy our nation. It's written in our old scriptures. I mean, history in this way is it's kind of a circle because it came back. By the way, but in our time, it's not the Iranian people who want to destroy us. It's the current Iranian regime. So it's kind of the feeling here is kind of history comes back. In any case, we had quite a few alarms tonight. We had one this morning, and also as you described before, we have now another front in the north because Hezbollah, which is an Iranian proxy, decided to join the war and is shooting missiles over the northern part of Israel. So definitely it's a war. It's a war. It's a tense war. But at the same time, I know that the vast majority of Israelis understands that if we wouldn't act now, then in the future it would have been much, much worse. To have Iran now with hundreds of missiles is bad, but to have Iran with thousands of missiles, including some nuclear bombs, that would be much worse.
Ariel, how real is the risk of Hezbollah opening a full northern front? Can Israel fight on multiple fronts simultaneously?
Yes, we definitely have the ability. We've prepared for such a war. And, you know, don't forget, actually, we are already in a multi-front war for 2.5 years now. So, yes, we can make it. I can tell you that even in my family, a lot of people went to the reverse, including my son-in-law. He was called, and my son and others. So they were all called to serve once again. We, you know, the Jewish people, we have our history. We know that if we wouldn't stand and fight for our destiny, then let's say there are too many nations around the world that don't like us. So we have to protect ourselves. And yes, we already, just this morning, it's a new update, the IDF, the Israeli army, invaded, I understand in a slightly move, but on the ground as well, into Lebanon, where Hezbollah is operating, and that is made again to protect especially our north border, because Hezbollah is acting there, and 2 days ago decided to join the war. So again, we have to protect ourselves, we have to protect our villages, and we do that. We have no other choice.
So are Gulf states quietly aligned with Israel is the big question at this point, Ariel, despite public caution?
I couldn't hear the question. If you can repeat, please.
My question is, are Gulf states quietly aligned with Israel at this point?
I believe the answer is yes. I mean, as I said before, Israelis understand that we have no other choice, because Iran was developing developing actually 100 missiles every month. Okay, so if we and our Arab neighbors are suffering these days, I would say with 100 missiles on Israel, on the UAE, Bahrain, Saudi, etc., just imagine what would have happened if we wouldn't strike them now. It means that in 1 year from now, they would have much more missiles. So again, Israeli public is paying a price. We have now 11 casualties since this operation began. But it's well understood that if we would have waited, it could have been much worse. So the government definitely gets support from this operation, including from the opposition, and it's definitely a consensus here in Israel to go for that war. Hopefully to win it, of course.
Ariel, do stay with me. I'm going to come back to you in a moment from now, but more updates coming in on our rolling coverage. After Hezbollah launched rockets on Israel seeking revenge following Khamenei's death, Israel has now launched an offensive campaign against Hezbollah, opening up the Lebanese front up north. We just heard from Ariel responding to that question on whether Israel can afford to do this up north with the Hezbollah. Now, as per reports, over 70 ammunition storage facilities of Hezbollah have been destroyed by Israel so far, including the elimination of Hezbollah's intel chief. Latest information indicates that Israeli army has struck Hezbollah command centers and weapons storage centers. Lebanon government claims at least 52 people have been killed. Not just that, Israel has also set the target on the back of Hassan Nasrallah's successor, Naim Qassem, who serves as the new head of Hezbollah, stating that he is marked for elimination. Hezbollah has come out with a statement saying that aggression can't go on without response and confrontation is their legitimate right.
בלילה, מטוסי הקרב של חיל האוויר טסים מעל שמי לבנון. ותוקפים בעוצמה עשרות מטרות של ארגון הטרור חיזבאללה. הבוקר חיסלנו בתקיפה ממוקדת בדאחיה שבביירות את חוסיין מקלד, אחראי מטה המודיעין של ארגון הטרור חיזבאללה. בנוסף, השלמנו סדרת תקיפות נגד נכסים כלכליים מרכזיים של אגודת אל-קרד אל-חסן, המשמשת כתשתית מרכזית לניהול כספיו של ארגון הטרור חיזבאללה.
Our objectives are clear. No nuclear weapon, no ballistic missile threat, destroy their navy, and crush the regime's proxy network. We are hitting decisively, surgically, without apology. While we strike military facilities and the machinery of terror with precision, the Iranian regime strikes civilians. We will not stop until we achieve our objectives.
Going back to Ariel, at the top of my show, at about 1 o'clock, about 25 minutes back, we started with news that was coming in that the U.S. Embassy in Israel has told its citizens it's unable to assist in evacuations. I want to understand from you the situation for U.S. nationals who, of course, Iran already mentioning are on target.
So indeed, it's very hard. I wouldn't say impossible, but it is very, very hard to now leave the country because all commercial flights has ended. Of course, because Iran is targeting our main airports, the Ben Gurion airports, and other airports actually are closed. So it is very hard, but I can tell you from experience and from the past that foreigners who live here can go to neighbor countries like Jordan, and from there to take a flight abroad. So it's not completely impossible. As you said, the American embassy is saying we can assist you now, but it's not that it's completely impossible to leave. But Vedika, Israel is a tiny country. It's a very tiny country. We don't have enough room on the map to sign our name, since our land is so small. So that's why when the country is in a war, the main airport is closed. But again, I will keep tell you that Israelis, which like a lot, and you have a lot of Israelis who are coming to take a trip in India, for example, still we understand that we have to do it now, because otherwise the future would have been much more dark. So we do it now. I think it's very important to emphasize that the reason for that war is because of the Iranian current regime, the mullahs.
Okay.
They declared for decades they want to destroy my country. Okay.
All right,
but
we also brought to our viewers, and Ariel, thank you for joining me on Breaking Ground, how it took just a couple of hours for the US president to go ahead and decide that this will escalate into a conflict, a decision that was taken late last week. On NDTV, in the last 18 hours, we have brought you the top voices that matter, be it the Prime Minister of Israel, be it the former Prime Minister of Israel, or the Foreign Minister. We're now going to get you their voices for the next 15 minutes on the channel. Let's start with Netanyahu. While we tell you that the Middle East war is escalating rapidly, Iran has intensified its attacks with strikes reported in different areas of Israel. In response, Israel says it will not back down. US President Donald Trump claimed that Iran wants to surrender amid growing military pressure. Now, while visiting an attack site. Israeli Prime Minister exclusively spoke to NDTV and hailed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, calling Modi a great friend. Netanyahu thanked India for its support. On the ground, the Israeli Defense Forces say they have struck over 70 Hezbollah facilities targeting infrastructure and launchers in southern Lebanon. Iran has also reportedly launched a new super heavy missile and fired at US bases, marking a dangerous new phase in the conflict. But first, let's bring to you that exclusive conversation between my colleague Aditya Rajkol and Netanyahu.
Can you say a word?
Yes, I spoke.
How was the meeting, sir?
I spoke to our great friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Spoke to him at length yesterday. Thanked him for his standing with Israel, standing for the truth, and for the enormous friendship of the people of India. They are much admired and loved in Israel, and I won't get into the details of the conversation, but I've spoken to him and I've spoken to many other leaders in the region and beyond. Thank you.
Also in an exclusive conversation again with my colleague Aditya Rajkol, Israeli Foreign Minister has said that Iran was wasting time not meeting deadlines on US restrictions over its nuclear and ballistic missile programs. Here's that exclusive.
Just 2 days after the Israeli and the American joint strikes inside of Iran, where Khamenei was in fact neutralized. The supreme leader is no more amongst us in Iran. There are more than 40 commanders of the IRGC who have been eliminated as well. The airstrikes continue even as I speak. While I was coming inside the foreign ministry of Israel, there were missiles that were thrown inside Jerusalem that were neutralized by the Israeli defense mechanism. But here on a World Exclusive, joining us live for the first time after the conflict broke out in the last 2 days is Gideon Sa'ar, the Foreign Minister of Israel. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
It's a very critical time, but the first question that comes to the mind of each and every person here who's been observing is that what was the need to get into a conflict or a war at a time when negotiations were underway? We saw talks in Geneva take place, and there was a commitment made that technical negotiations and agreements will in fact take place in Vienna, Austria. But what was the urgency to go in and eliminate Khamenei?
But those who conduct the negotiations, the Americans themselves, came into conclusion that Iran, as usual, is wasting time, not meeting the American red lines with regard to the nuclear program, Iranian nuclear program, not meeting the American red lines with regard to the ballistic missiles program. So altogether, we knew that within a very short time, Iran is going to put all its nuclear program in a very deep underground installation where not Israel and not America can hit effectively from the air. They plan to do the same thing with ballistic missiles production. So that would put them in, I would say, immunity place, and they can do whatever they want to do. You can see only from the last days how much this regime is dangerous. They are hitting not only us, our civilian population, but also Arab countries in the region without any provocation. So this is an extremely dangerous regime for their own people, as we saw in the way they butchered their own people during the last protest, to all countries in the region. And of course, for us, it's an existential threat. And therefore, since we thought time is of essence from the reasons I just mentioned, and also time is of essence taking into consideration the expectations of the Iranian people that fought bravely for the freedom, but reasonably cannot achieve it without any help from outside.
Minister,
so this is why we decided with our American friends that we must act. There are, of course, complications that might happen, but it's more dangerous not to act rather than to act in this situation.
Fair enough. I'll come to what is happening now and what's been happening over the last 3 days. But first, you had Oman acting as a mediator between US and Iran. there were talks that were happening. The Oman foreign minister was on record to say that perhaps in the next 90 days there was some kind of an outcome that could happen on a peace agreement. There were technical details that could be discussed. And now the foreign minister of Oman said that he's dismayed. He's thinking that there was a talks process underway. There was a step-by-step process that could have led to perhaps some kind of an agreement. But now Oman says that whatever commitment was there has been violated. How do you respond to that?
I don't think I have to respond to that because we were not a side or a part to the negotiations. The Americans handled it. And it is true that, as always, President Trump preferred to reach an agreed solution to this thing. But as it happened on June, he found out eventually that they can waste time forever, but they will not reach to a good agreement. And the bad agreement is something that Americans didn't want to achieve.
A regime change from outside is either rare or impossible, is what Israel's opposition leader Yair Lapid told NDTV in an exclusive conversation with NDTV's managing editor Shiva Roor. Here's that exclusive conversation.
Yair Lapid, he is the leader of the opposition in Israel. He is live with me tonight from Tel Aviv. Mr. Lapid, thank you for your time. It is a difficult period for your country, for the region, for Iran, for innocent people in all of these places that stand affected. And I know there have been casualties in your country as well. As day 3 comes to an end since this operation began, what's going through your mind? What are your thoughts today, Mr. Lapid? I'd like to begin with that.
Well, the first thought was that you said 3 days, and I thought to myself, it looks like 3 months because of the scale of the events. I just came back here, before talking to you, I came back from the city of Bet Shemesh, in which I visited the site of a missile fall that killed 9 people, among them 3 children from the same family. So what's going through my mind, I'm thinking about the mother and the father of those 3 children. Israel, like India, is a country in which family ties are the most important thing, is the core of the culture. And for us, it's devastating. But we understand that we're fighting a just war. It doesn't happen often, that in 21st century, there's a moral clarity the way there is now. It is a just war against a horrible regime that is not only a danger to Israel and to the entire global community, but also to its own people. Just last month in January, we saw the young people of Iran taking to the streets trying to fight this very oppressive regime. So it is the right war, it is a just war, but it doesn't make it any easier.
Once again, let's bring you some defining images from this conflict that is raging on in the Middle East. We start with a new wave of Iranian missiles successfully evading U.S. air defense systems. This is in Kuwait's skies. Let's just bring up those visuals for you.
How did they miss all of it?
New wave of Iranian missiles successfully evade U.S. air defense systems in Kuwait's skies. Flashpoint with Iran launching its largest retaliation strike. Sirens were heard at Muwafaq Salti Air Base in Jordan. Iranian missiles continue pounding U.S. bases in Bahrain. The strikes come as Tehran vows retaliation following U.S. and Israeli attacks on Iran, raising fears of a wider regional conflict. U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet intercepted dozens of Iranian missiles and attacked drones in Bahrain against the backdrop of the continued conflict. The United States of America has released another video of Operation Epic Fury. Secretary of War stated this morning U.S. forces are hitting Iran surgically, overwhelmingly, and unapologetically. Aerial photo shows the graves where Iranian elementary school students will be laid to rest. 168 students were killed in the U.S.-Israeli joint aggression in Minab. Funeral procession was held for the 168 Iranian schoolgirls of the Shajara Tayyabeh school in Minab who were killed in a joint attack by the US and Israeli. Qatar Defense Forces shoot down 2 Su-24 aircraft of Iran. Qatar's air defense systems intercepted 7 ballistic missiles, while 5 drones were also neutralized through coordinated efforts. Golestan Palace, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Iran's Tehran, has sustained damage in recent US-Israeli airstrikes. Iran releases new footage of damage, claims Israel airstrikes hit several areas in the city of Isfahan. UAE's President Mohammed bin Zayed seen walking in public at Dubai Mall following the Iranian attack. The visit came as the UAE's air defenses intercepted dozens of drones and attacks launched by Iran. The latest set of high-resolution satellite imagery of some of the areas where strikes have taken place give you a clear idea of the extent of damage. These images are from Saudi Arabia's Ras Tanura refinery. The satellite image of this refinery, captured post-attack on the 2nd of March 2026, shows extensive dark smoke plumes rising from multiple areas amid the industrial complex, particularly concentrated in the central processing sections with visible burn scars, scorched infrastructure, and blackened zones around pipes, tanks, and processing units. The satellite image of Bandar Abbas port, captured amid the ongoing conflict on the 2nd of March 2026, reveals massive dark plumes of black smoke billowing across large sections of the facility, particularly shrouding the central naval and commercial docks, with visible fires on at least one berth vessel and thick haze obscuring parts of the piers and surrounding infrastructure. The satellite image of Jebel Ali port in Dubai, captured on the 3rd of March 2026, shows thick black smoke plumes rising prominently from multiple areas, particularly concentrated over container berths, storage yards, and sections near the docks, with dark haze spreading across parts of the massive facility and obscuring some infrastructure amid the surrounding water and urban layout. The 2nd March 2026 satellite image from Vanturf, Iran's Natanz nuclear facility, reveals fresh damage marked by orange circles, including the apparent destruction or severe impact to at least 3 buildings, primarily 2 personal entrances and a vehicle access ramp to the underground uranium enrichment halls, along with visible debris, structural collapse, and scorched or altered ground to those targeted areas. What we've just brought to you are 4 different satellite images from 4 different areas that were hit. We have breaking news coming in. We're being told that Iran advisor Jabari has declared shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has said anyone who wants to pass will be destroyed by fire. Iran has gone on to say not a drop of oil will be exported. And we also have got to know at this point, according to the IRGC, the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and they've gone on to say anyone who wants to pass will be destroyed by fire by our heroic and devoted forces in the Navy of the Islamic the IRGC essentially and the army. Aditya Rajkol joining us. Aditya, this is a big blow not only to the Mideast but to countries who depend on the Strait of Hormuz for their supply of oil.
Well, yes, it's a huge statement coming in. Also a warning and a threat from the Iranian side claiming that the Strait of Hormuz will be completely shut and any kind of shipping route, oil trade or connectivity that happens through that or the ships that attempt to pass Strait of Hormuz will be attacked and will be destroyed by the Iranian missile fire. This is a huge escalation from the Iranian side. Trump on the other side has also claimed that he will not allow Strait of Hormuz to be in fact shut and close at this particular stage. And we do know for sure right now that Donald Trump also claimed, along with the U.S. Central Command, that 9 ships and 9 vessels of the Iranian government and the Iranian regime have been already destroyed and sunk in that particular area. So clearly, it's a huge challenge, of course, the Iranian threat, but at the same time, US, Israel, and other countries trying to thwart all these attempts. UK and France also trying to join in this mission of attempting to safeguard the interests of the Western allies in this entire region. But certainly, the kind of chaos and conflict that we are witnessing right now is bound to create a lot of problems when it comes to oil trade, connectivity, trade during this entire region, during this time. And of course, a lot of hurdles will be there for common people as well, as shipping routes become a target of Iran and its proxies in the region. So it's a new statement coming in from the advisor, a top advisor from the Iranian IRGC, claiming that the Western vessels, etc., will not be allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. But it does seem that Trump administration and Israel are likely to attack Iranian Navy more, although the Iranian Navy has no comparison with the Navy of United States or even of the Western countries, even Israel, but certainly a threat that certainly cannot be ignored.
All right, so global oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz have all but frozen, choking off nearly 86% of normal east-west crude traffic and pushing energy markets to the brink. On that note, simply a short break. I'll be back in a moment from now. Stay tuned to Breaking Ground at 1 p.m.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
Front lines of Kargil, the fury of Operation Sindhu,
so many attacks,
the chaos and cries of disaster zones, to fighter jet cockpits, and the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break, live, unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Center.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area. North Ukraine. In France. In Italy. At Srinagar. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
Across the country.
He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Rajkol, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp. Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
expert advice,
the latest trends. It's a lot simpler. We'll help people make the right auto decisions.
It's got the cool stuff, geeky stuff, serious stuff, all of it, so that you can discover, decide, and drive. I'm Siddharth Sharma, and I am your Automate.
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom.
In news just coming in, we have breaking news coming in from what Rahul Gandhi has said. In a statement made on X, Rahul Gandhi has slammed the Modi government. Escalating hostilities between the United States, Israel and Iran are pushing a fragile region toward wider conflict, he says. Crores of people, including nearly a crore Indians, face uncertainty. He goes on to then say, while security concerns are real, attacks that violate sovereignty will only worsen the crisis. The unilateral attacks on Iran, as well as Iran's attacks on the other Middle Eastern nations, must be condemned. Violence begets violence. Dialogue and restraint remain the only path to peace. Then slamming the Modi government, he says Prime Minister Modi must speak up. Does he support the assassination of a head of state as a way to define the world order? Silence now diminishes India's standing in the world. Tejshri joining me live on this developing story. Tejshri, you have Rahul Gandhi in many ways echoing what Sonia Gandhi had said some time back.
Well, yes, absolutely. We have just seen the social media post made by, in fact, Rahul Gandhi, who, in fact, is stating that India must be morally clear. The manner in which India is responding, it is not at all correct. And, in fact, he is also raising the questions that is PM Modi supporting the assassination, and also, in fact, has hit out at the government, particularly Prime Minister Narendra Modi, on killing of the supreme leader of Iran. Not just that, but today also, in fact, we just saw the post of, we also saw the article of Sonia Gandhi, the Congress leader, who in fact also went on to slam the government, raised questions as to why the government is silent on so many killings, and the manner in which the government is taking side, it is completely condemnable, is what they have been trying to say. Other Congress leaders have also in fact been reiterating the same line, that whatever is happening in Iran is the Indian government supporting it. Why there is no single statement made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi condemning the killing of their supreme leader of Iran. And not just that, but also in fact the stand should be more clear so as to what the stand as of now the government is taking, and do they support the kind of assassination, the kind of killings that is taking place there in Iran by the Israel supported by US.
All right, thank you for joining me live there. Let's also just tell our viewers that the Congress Parliamentary Party chairperson Sonia Gandhi had also launched a sharp attack on the centre, calling its silence over the reported targeted killing of Iran's supreme leader an abdication, not neutrality. In a strongly worded article, Sonia Gandhi questioned the direction and credibility of India's foreign policy, saying the government's stance raises serious questions. The BJP has hit back, calling her remarks misleading and politically motivated. Party sources have told NDTV that to say diplomacy cannot be reduced to public posturing, and they went on to defend India's calibrated response to the West Asian crisis. BJP leaders also pointed out that in 2011, when Libya's former leader Gaddafi was killed, the Congress-led UPA government neither issued a formal condolence nor strong condemnation. On that note, we're slipping a short break. News and updates will continue on the other side here on NDTV 24/7. Thanks for watching Breaking Ground.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand. Motorola Signature, India's #1 camera phone. Grab Motorola Signature today.
From
From 1983 to now, I have seen cricket evolve, but the mindset to win never changed. I tell you that what win matches and what doesn't. This T20 World Cup, let's talk cricket, controversies and more on NDTV.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा।
जय मां दुर्गा!
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसमे।
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে।
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
What seems settled for me is unfinished business. So I rewind, I pause, I reflect, I dig until what's buried stands up to be counted. Breaking ground, not just headlines, the meaning behind them. This is Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood.
The front lines of Kargil. The fury of Operation Sindhu.
So many attacks.
The chaos and cries of disaster zones. To fighter jet cockpits. And the world's most defining interviews.
It's incredible.
He has seen history break. Live. Unfiltered. 20,000 hours of live broadcasting.
Welcome to Left, Right and Center.
Hard facts.
War-struck country.
Hard questions.
In the Ukraine.
30 years of trust.
In the Kargil area. North Ukraine. In France. In Italy. At Srinagar. Vishnu Shom for NDTV.
Vishnu Shom. Only on NDTV.
Across the country.
He has tracked the pulse of power from Washington to Korea. Witnessed history being made in global capitals and conflict zones. Brought clarity to complex issues of national security and international affairs. Aditya Rajkol, covering international affairs like no one else. Only on NDTV network.